Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Outsourcing Your IT for Industry Growth. My name is Eddie Roll, and I'll be your moderator. I am a technical team member here at Total Computer Solutions, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. Total Computer Solutions is a full-service provider of IT support and services, including network security, cloud computing, network administration, and managed backup services in Central North Carolina. I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker, Matt Mcneese. Matt Mcneese began his career in business in 2013. Since then, he has worked in several IT sectors. He joined the TCS team to apply his consulting skills to the development and maintenance of business relationships that help strengthen our economic community. Before I hand the mic over to Matt, I have a few housekeeping items to cover about this presentation and the Zoom platform. First, today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session and will be emailed to you afterwards. Next, we would love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have a question for our speaker, please feel free to type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question during today's webinar, we'll be sure to follow up afterward. And last, we'd like to encourage you to give us feedback on today's webinar. You'll see a link in your browser when the webinar ends. So without further ado, I'd like to kick things off by welcoming our business consultant, Matt Mcneese. Matt, over to you.
Thank you, Eddie, for that introduction. Good morning to everyone on our webinar. Thanks for being here today. As Eddie said, my name is Matt Mcneese. I'm a business consultant here at Total Computer Solutions. Please do send in any questions, comments you might have throughout today's webinar to Eddie. Eddie will be moderating our question segment at the end of my presentation here today. So again, good morning. Matt Mcneese here. As a business consultant, I get to see businesses in all different industries grow in their markets. So I'm particularly excited about today's webinar because it really cuts to the heart of what I feel is the greatest opportunities that managed service providers like us bring to small and medium-sized businesses in our economy. So many companies outsource their IT as a way to behave like a big business. And you'll hear that as one of my main encouraging recommendations for you here today as you consider not just outsourcing your IT for your own industry growth, but as you really weigh the reality of what it would take from a budget, a time, and a return on investment standpoint for you to consider this as a very strong option for you and your team. For small and medium-sized businesses, the pressure to scale with large company mentalities has really never been greater. A full-on shift toward the large company model occurred with unprecedented speed in 2020. So many of us learned this virtually overnight and have been learning the firsthand experience of this change since last March. Spends on outsourced IT enable this mentality because quality managed service providers, MSPs, as a place like TCS calls ourselves, are in business to provide full service IT management that draw on team resources. You see, not available for the cost of full-time internal single points of IT contact. Other businesses, perhaps within your structure, don't have this same option, maybe aren't as fortunate to have such outsourcing options. Outsourced IT really is available as a fully managed consultative service. We happen to have structured our fully managed service as what we call flat fee IT. And so I may refer to that throughout. We may have some follow-up conversation about what differentiators could be between what one company offers as fully managed versus another. We really have done so in creating our fully managed option with the benefit of small and medium-sized businesses in mind. Outsourcing your IT for industry growth means finding a partner who is consultative and therefore is poised for growth with you. We're going to have 6 key points today. Each key point really is focused on raising the level of your company, both internally for you and your employees, and externally for your customers or clients. So each of these 6 key points that we focus on will also have a certain framework to them. With each key point, we'll ask, what does it look like to get here? And then, of course, how would you get there? So each 6 will ask what they look like and how you get there. How, for example, can you have a large business mindset about growth? Key point number 1. Key point number 2, how can you help your own human resources by providing full IT? I'll talk a lot today about the benefits of fully outsourced IT, not just for the benefits of your clients. Yes, it's going to benefit them, and we'll talk about that, but really for the benefit of your own team. Key point number 3 will bring in some reality. That's making inevitable technology changes as easy as possible. We all know they are coming. We know that we want to try to make them as easy as possible. Key point number 4 will really put you in a proactive mode, trying to allow your business to maintain an updated technology roadmap. What does that look like? How will we get there? Key point number 5, permitting your business ongoing IT business prioritization. And key point number 6, concentrating your resources will also benefit your company both internally and externally. So again, we're going to frame each key point within the questions, what does it look like? And how do you get there? Key point number 1, have a large business mindset. Have an enterprise mindset. Large businesses spend their time on the growth and development of their business by focusing human resources on specific job roles. They don't wear a lot of hats, or they cut down on the number of hats in their closet, so to speak. A small business mindset leads to an extreme blurring of the lines of expertise on everything. Now, those of you who have bootstrapped companies, you have learned this through direct experience. And there is sometimes no substitute for this. But after that stage, you can totally outsource your IT and immediately get to the level of having kind of virtual chief information officer services. You can outsource your IT all the way to this level. So what would it look like to get to this level of having a large business mindset, an enterprise mindset about your growth in your industry? First, as general as it seems, this looks like, leaving worrying about technology to someone else. This means introducing a trusted IT partner at your high-level business meetings. And this means exceeding, this is really the major benefit. This is what we're working up to. This means exceeding your industry ROI in technology investment. So if spends on technology are coming, if there's nothing we can do about those spends, we want to organize them in such a way that the spend you make on technology for your company within your industry capitalizes on that spend. You need to use technology as another opportunity for competitive advantage based on your company's ability to structure that successful IT relationship. How do we get there? How do we get to the point where you've no longer experiencing the direct stress of technology, where you have a trusted partner with you, and where you are now poised to exceed your industry ROI on technology? How do you get there? First and foremost, you have to have your network fully assessed, roadmapped, and planned strategically. There really is no substitute for a full understanding of where you are if you are going to be able to plan where you will get. And where we want to get is a very specific place called a high ROI on your technology spend. First, we have to understand where our network is. If you're already operating with a full understanding and have a full assessment of your network, the next step is to roadmap where you may go with that network so you can plan strategically. It's a sequential step in how you get there here. How do you get there? We have here spend a flat fee per month that permits full IT needs and responsibilities to fit into that strategy. The core of this, this direction for how you get there is to have a monthly IT budget. Like anything else in your company, it's an investment. And we begin to structure our investments by normalizing our monthly contributions into them. And we know this from our basic financing and accounting, not just in our companies, but in our daily lives as well. A flat amount of money needs to go directly to IT per month. You can organize it in such a way that that flat amount will remain absolutely almost 100% stable for up to a 2 to 3 year period, even given all the changes in the market. What an advantage. We're going to move on to key point number 2 here, which is turning the direction toward your own employees. And I believe this is very important to let technology serve as a strong contributor to the success of your own human resources in your company. So key point number 2 is to help your HR by providing full IT. Large businesses have empowered their employees to meet daily and long-term IT challenges, of course, with a very open mindset. There's very little discussion about whether or not one can have access to fully supported IT in a big business or with a big business mindset. Employees don't have to ask permission to solve IT problems. They go about solving them as part of their corporate culture, as part of their big business-minded culture. And what I mean by that is employees are empowered to have the support they need to stay on their own in industry and specific job role tasks. And I have seen this as a business consultant be a roadblock many times, because what can happen if you don't organize this properly and help your HR by providing full IT support? There can be a lot of time taken up through discussions on what one is allowed to do versus what one is not allowed to do, simply in solving basic IT problems, from email, certainly up to cybersecurity. So you can create the conditions for a large, growing company HR culture by outsourcing your IT to a fully managed model. Again, how is this going to look? Well, it's going to look like this. When an employee has a problem, they work directly with a help desk that is available to them. The help desk can solve almost all of their problems. Employees understand progress on their problems because a help desk can update the status of their problems. This is all happening just with one employee using a help desk in a fully supported IT environment. Employees can hold their IT partners to high standards. See, it's an external partner solving IT problems. There is no intra-office HR issue here. There is simply the checking of an IT problem, holding the IT analyst to a high level, and continuing with one's workflow. Instead of measuring IT with an hourly budget in mind, company leadership measures IT as an upbuilding process for the company foundation. So time spent on IT is time spent investing in your own employees, as opposed to slowing the whole process down by a series of recurring and unnecessary budget decisions. Employees see that their company cares to provide them with proper bandwidth and hardware to do their job. And that's really one of the bottom lines. More and more, especially in the post-COVID world, we are judging our quality of life by our access to smooth and supported IT. And often it's the supporting in it that is even more important than the smooth. You see, everyone expects and understands, and there's a big increasing awareness on some of the just day-to-day problems with technology. We're all becoming well-versed in them. We all experience those day-to-day problems. But do we have the support to get through those problems without unnecessary stress and certainly unnecessary lack of productivity? That's where you want to make a difference for your employees. How do we get to the place where our HR feels totally supported by full IT support? Number one is the budget. We go and assess our monthly IT spend. What are we going to allocate for monthly IT support? what are we going to commit to for monthly IT support, and then what budget discussions do we need to have to make sure that that monthly IT spend is at industry standard. Internally, we're also going to determine where we are creating our own stopgaps. When we have problems with IT, what stops the workflow? Let's communicate those work stops, those stoppages, to our trusted IT partners so we can eliminate those from our daily business flow. The IT really is just a way to support all of your daily business flow. And how do we get there? We've got to free the IT process from internal hierarchies. IT has to be available widely and equally to every workstation, computer, user-supported employee in your company. And we can measure the amount of, you can do a lot in measuring your budget just by beginning with the number of users you are supporting in your company. We're going to move on to key point number 3 here, which involves everyone in your company, and particularly now turns the focus toward company leadership, because key point number 3 is something that company leaders are dealing with on an ongoing basis and has a way to show up in any meeting at any time, and that's technological changes. So key point number 3 today is that we want to make inevitable technology changes easy. Or let's say we want to make them as easy as possible. Since technology changes within your industry, no matter your industry, are inevitable, you need to create the conditions for changes to happen almost immediately so that you are not outperformed in your industry. Waiting to engage with IT partners until something is broken is absolutely inadequate now. Not only will you risk HR satisfaction, as discussed above in key point number 2, you will end up costing yourself more time, money, and stress dealing with changes in IT landscape in an ignorant fashion, as opposed to being proactive and making the technology changes as easy as possible. You can prepare yourself for changes that come by having a fully outsourced flat fee IT partner who will make discussions about the future and changes on the horizon part of doing business together. What does it look like to make technology changes as easy as possible? Well, meetings include updates on changes to technology. Sometimes the updates are small, sometimes the updates are large, but the technology changes need to be a part of our daily meeting workflow. They don't come out of the blue then. They're implemented and planned, not disruptive. Most of us share as a common company core value, regardless of our industry, the core value of communication. Technology has a way of disrupting that core value if meetings and implementations are not discussed and planned. It can look like a violation or a breach of a company core value just because of technology changing. When technology changes are planned so that they are as easy as possible, there's a much greater degree of adoption, and the industry is very clear on this. How do we get to making technology changes as easy as possible? Well, you require strategies from your IT partner. You have an IT partner that is consultative, an IT partner that talks about more than computers, more than technology. It might sound a little funny, but you want your IT partner not to talk so much about computers as they talk about your own business strategy and how they are using technology secondarily to support that strategy. Because it's all about your industry growth and you getting an edge on the competition in your industry. How else do you get there? You certainly have to empower employees to use the help desk. We have to have employees who are unafraid to use the system to solve their own technology problems. And maybe this is something that used to seem counterintuitive years ago when we were first in the industry, but your company needs to remain open with IT vendors. They're a source of great knowledge. They're bringing information to you about technology changes that are coming. If your vendors are talking about large changes, for example, if you're hearing vendors continue to talk about cybersecurity and cybersecurity insurance over the last year, then you can be assured that there's something coming down the road. Our next key point is going to stay focused on our own business internally. But here is where we begin to really see the technology changes show, the seams of our technology show for our clients. So key point number 4 is allowing your business to maintain an updated technology roadmap. Not just internally, or our employees, are we at risk with our own employees if we don't have our arms around where we're going with our technology? But in today's highly tech business world, our clients and customers and potential clients and customers have an almost sixth sense about our technological readiness. We want to be a company in our industry that embraces technology. We do not want to be a company that is seen as a dinosaur with technology. To be seen any other way is to engage with great peril with your future customers and clients. Maintaining a technology roadmap is not difficult, but it does require companies to adopt a growth mindset, this big business enterprise mindset that we're talking about. This is because technology moves fast and is out of any particular company's control, is out of anyone's control. It's driven by factors that are complicated, that are often based on changing needs of individuals and entities on the large, huge macro workspace global environment. You can maintain an updated roadmap, though, that will serve to increase revenue and market share. Your roadmap leads to a place that is easy to get to with careful planning, but is very difficult to reach with haphazard planning or no planning. So what should it look like to have an updated technology roadmap? This roadmap that we want to increase our revenue and market share. Well, IT experts discuss total amount of work to be done over time. We would recommend really having a plan that's 2 to 5 years out. There will always be short-term needs, 30, 60 days, but a roadmap's going to get us years out. What else should this look like? Your technology roadmap, industry trends, and tech adoption. When you have your roadmap, will become a choice instead of a reaction. It feels really good to choose what we want to do in technology so much as we're able to, as opposed to just simply react to something. Perhaps an example of a choice under our control has to do with our platforms that we use for virtual meetings. There are, they all bring us virtual meetings, but they all have benefits. We want to be really out ahead of those and choosing instead of reacting. Now, 2020 was a year of great reaction. 2021 is a year of more planning, and updating your technology roadmap should definitely be a part of your 2021 plan. How do you get there with your technology roadmap? First and foremost, let's allow real-time employee input to drive the IT budget. Your employees will let you know if they are supported or not, and we need to cultivate an open and communicative environment where we're able to share what we need for technology. The technology drivers are there for almost everyone's job role, and coming together for IT decisions is now more horizontal than ever. We want to garner data from these employees to sharpen company skill sets. What technology investments can we make to allow each of our roles easier? And we sure want to break the pattern of collecting IT problems. we do not want an IT strategy, or really lack of strategy, that allows for any bottlenecking and piling up of problems. We don't want that pressure gauge to operate anywhere within our technology flow. What we want to do is view IT as part of the company flow. We want to have ongoing updates, maintenance, developments, and certainly not. We want to definitely leave behind the break fix mentality, because that is going to not just eliminate communication with your technology, but I would say that's going to risk communication as a core value in your company. Key point number 5 today we'll move on to, which is going to continue to discuss how you get a competitive edge in your industry. And it's permitting ongoing IT business prioritization, especially after the changes in our work environment brought about in 2020, when the coronavirus hit our global markets. We now have a radically different experience in the business environment. In order to maintain congruity of production with products, services, consultations, we need to continually prioritize the driving factors that make our businesses technology. So we all work together. We increasingly do so via technological interfaces. These interfaces, if they're seen as a high priority, workflow tends toward a sufficient speed for our respective industry growth. And that's what we want. At the very base, we want a sufficient speed for our respective industry growth. And you understand and assess in a profound way your own industry's growth, bringing the IT that allows you to move at that speed, and then hopefully beyond that speed is a differentiator that is there and you're spending money on anyway. So when technology interface are a high priority, workflow does lean toward this sufficient speed. What does it look like to permit your business ongoing IT prioritization? Employees understand that IT is valued. Their technical issues have a process of resolution. Company leaders have trusted IT partners who consult them strategically about growth. Staff and stakeholders work and advance in the organization with the most effective technology. You almost should feel a certain sense of resonance with our key point number 5, permitting your business ongoing IT business prioritization, a certain resonance of company workflow, kind of golden light that allows you to be seen as one of those companies that's using technology to grow. How do we get there? Again, we have to allocate the budget for regular, recurring, monthly IT investment. We are talking today about structuring your IT, not because something is broken, you have to fix something, but because we have to invest in our company's IT to get the return on investment from our technology that sets us apart in the industry. If it's on a regular, recurring investment to set yourself above in your own industry, then it's misalignment with your technology. How do we get there? Vetting partners and selecting them based on their ability to work strategically with you. It's worth repeating, as I said earlier, we want a consultative experience with our IT partner, someone who understands that it's our own in-industry growth that's going to set us apart, and that we're using technology to support that very growth. So as we move on to our next key point, let's concentrate our resources on that growth. And concentrating our resources is the final point today, because all of your skills should be harnessed on your industry objectives. Expertise should not be wasted on tasks that require the slowdown or stoppage of one's professional skill set. Extra time should be spent on readying one for additional market growth within one's expertise, for exploring, refining, studying new expert methods, making one's company the most highly skilled and effective it can be within its industry. Time should not be spent on becoming an IT expert unless that's one's profession. And we can easily assess every company, all of your companies out there, we can assess on the very bottom line how you'll save money by spending and delegating all IT issues, problems, outsourcing all IT for your own in-industry growth. What is more important to our company's success and its ability to perform within its own industry? So what does it look like to concentrate our resources. C-suite and leadership can get meaningful and effective updates on companies' technological edge. Employees can focus on work without stoppage and distracting requests for their help. So we have a highly informed leadership and a highly empowered workforce. Bodies of knowledge within your company are always increasing based on the work that is being done, because you're not spending time on anything not focused on your industry. Time spent on any issue not for your own in-industry edge is decreasing the body of knowledge and the expertise within your company. Stay positive with this. Allow your team, allow your leadership and teams to be able to focus on increasing the work that is being done for your own in-industry edge. You get there by choosing IT experts to handle the full allocation of your IT needs. This is a major shift for us, major opportunity, and then major ensuing shift for small and medium-sized businesses to have that enterprise mindset. You will get there by functioning like this enterprise company that we're discussing, with options available through partnerships in the IT industry. So really, as we think about all 6 of our key points today, we can draw some conclusions. IT should be seen as an investment in your in-industry growth that keeps your organization ready for constant in-industry growth, prepared to meet the needs of your employees in your workplace, ready to capitalize on the positive ROI of its investment in technology. In short, with full service IT, your company can begin to separate itself from your competition as an industry leader. When you schedule, if you schedule a consultation, we begin to discuss how to get your company poised for industry growth and begin to make decisions about proper monthly IT investment for your company. Chances are that all 6 of today's key points apply to your company, and chances are that bringing them into your company as part of your company's core communication values will really allow you to get those consultative partners working for you that can make that in-industry growth a reality and can allow you to separate yourself within your industry. I hope these points have been very useful for you. I thank you for your time and attention today. I do look forward to consulting with you in your various industries. As we move toward our question session, I will pass the mic back to Eddie. Eddie, hope you're doing okay over there, and let's get it back to you for any questions and comments.
All right. Thank you, Matt, for that insightful information. We'll go ahead and take some time for our questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the question box into your control panel. So it looks like we do have our first question, and it is, how do I determine my budget for flat fee IT? And what ROI can I propose to my team?
Thanks, Eddie. That's a really good question. That's a very astute question, because there's 2 parts to it. There's the budget, and then there's the ROI. So by budget, we want to get to the point where we have fully managed IT. We want to begin basing that budget on number of computer users that you are supporting within your industry. So that's a key piece of information. How many users, not computers, but how many users are you supporting? Again, today we're talking about HR. We're talking about real people, not computers. So we want to support your users. That's where we're going to begin with your budget. And then the ROI is very important for you to discuss with your team, because we're going to try to situate your company in such a way that that budget you spend each month allows you to outperform the spend that your own industry competition is making. So supporting your own users in the right way should lead to a greater and smarter return on your investment for IT over time. And the studies are clear. It's really within a 3 to 5 year period, that longitudinal period, that you begin to show a greater ROI on the computerization, as they call it, of your company if you properly align your monthly IT budget.
Do we have any more questions? Well, it looks like we've covered all our questions. Matt, is there anything else you'd like to include before we go?
Just thanks again to everyone for being here. Thanks, Eddie, for supporting this webinar. Thanks to our marketing, Ashley, that does a great job setting this up all the time. Please feel free to reach out to us directly so we can continue these great discussions about really growing your particular businesses. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.